The emergency lights of Kepler 7 station cast long shadows across the assembly hall. 6 months had passed since the Vraxian Imperial fleet tried to invade Earth's colonies. 6 months since humanity showed the galaxy what happened when warnings were ignored. Now the Galactic Consul gathered again, and the mood was very different from before. Ambassador Chen Wei walked through the station corridors with 3 human guards. Alien species moved away from them quickly. Some pressed against the walls, their various eyes wide with fear. Others tried to look brave but failed. Chen Wei noticed everything. She always did. The tall woman carried a simple briefcase. Inside were documents that would change everything. But she was patient. Humans were always patient before the strike. The assembly hall doors opened with a hiss. Consul Primus Velkar stood at the center podium. His blue skin looked darker than before, almost gray. Stress did that to his species. Around the circular room, representatives from 47 species sat in their designated sections. The Vraxian section was empty. Their empire was gone. Ambassador Chen Wei, Velkar said, his voice tired. The consul welcomes Earth's delegation. Chen Wei walked to the speaker's platform. Her shoes clicked on the metal floor. The sound echoed in the silent room. She set down her briefcase and looked around slowly. Many aliens looked away. 6 months ago, I stood in a room like this, Chen Wei began. Her voice was calm and clear. I told you not to attack Earth. I told you there would be consequences. Nobody listened. A representative from the Harmonious Collective, a species that looked like tall birds, spoke up. The Vraxians acted alone. The rest of us had no part in. You voted to allow it, Chen Wei interrupted. 47 species in this room. 32 voted yes. 12 abstained. Only 3 voted no. She paused. Don't lie to me about who shares the blame. Silence fell again. War Mistress Krellix, leader of the Krell Dominion military, stood up. She was massive, over 8 feet tall, with armor that looked like red scales. Humanity destroyed an entire fleet. Thousands died. You call that defense? That was massacre! Chen Wei smiled. It was not a friendly smile. You're right. We destroyed them completely. We did it in 47 minutes. Do you know why? Nobody answered. Because we were being polite, Chen Wei continued. We could have done it in 10. Krellix's claws scraped against her chair. Is that a threat? No, Chen Wei said softly. We don't make threats anymore. We gave you a warning before. You ignored it. Now we just tell you facts. She opened her briefcase and pulled out a data tablet. Here's a fact. During the last 6 months, the Krell Dominion has moved 17 battle groups toward the border near our colonies. Krellix's face changed color. How did the humans know that? It was supposed to be secret. Here's another fact, Chen Wei went on. 3 days ago, Krell intelligence officers tried to bribe workers at our Proxima Centauri colony. They wanted information about our defenses. She looked directly at Krellix. The workers reported it immediately. We arrested your officers. They're very comfortable in our prison. We even gave them food they can actually eat. Velkar stepped forward. Ambassador, please. We called this session to discuss peace. The Vraxian War is over. Perhaps we can find a way to peace. Chen Wei's voice got harder. You want peace now? After you sent 3 fleets to destroy our worlds? She touched her tablet and a hologram appeared above the podium. It showed a burning planet. This was Vraxia Prime, their homeworld. We did this after we destroyed their fleet. Gasps filled the room. The image showed cities in ruins, oceans boiling, atmosphere burning. But wait, said a small voice. It was Trilip, a journalist from the Harmonious Collective. Vraxia Prime still exists. I saw reports yesterday. The planet is fine. Chen Wei smiled again. This time it was worse than before. That's correct. We showed you what we could do. We demonstrated our weapons on their moon instead. Turned it to dust in front of their whole planet. Then we left. She turned off the hologram. We wanted them to remember. To warn the rest of you. She pulled out another tablet. During our isolation period, while you all talked about the primitive humans and our limited technology, we were busy. We captured every type of ship that came near our system, traders, explorers, scouts. We took them apart. We learned how everything worked. Then we built better versions. That's impossible, said a delegate from the Scientific Qual Consortium. Some of our technology took thousands of years to develop. You've only had it for 75 years. Actually, Chen Wei said, we've been in space longer than you think. Much longer. We just let you believe we were new. She pressed a button on her tablet. New images appeared. These are photographs from the far side of your various homeworlds. Notice the dates. The images showed small satellites, almost invisible, orbiting alien planets. The dates went back 200 years. The room exploded with noise. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Velkar banged his gavel repeatedly, trying to restore order. Chen Wei waited. She stood perfectly still while chaos surrounded her. Finally, the noise died down. "You've been spying on us for 2 centuries?" Velkar asked. His voice shook. "We've been watching," Chen Wei corrected. "Learning your languages, studying your cultures, understanding your technology. When your ships finally reached our system 75 years ago, we already knew everything about you. We chose to make contact. We chose to seem primitive and friendly." She paused. "We chose to give you a chance." Krellick stood again. "This is an outrage." "You deceived the entire consul." "Yes," Chen Wei agreed simply. "Because the first thing we learned about you was that you attack species you think are weak. Every single one of you has done it. The Krell Dominion destroyed 6 primitive species in the last 300 years alone. The Harmonious Collective pretends to be peaceful, but you have secret military bases in neutral zones. The Quoll Consortium sells weapons to both sides of every war." She looked around the room. "We learned that the Galactic Consul is not a place of peace. It's a place where predators meet to divide prey. So we became the prey that watches, that prepares, that waits." "What do you want?" Velkar asked quietly. Chen Wei picked up her briefcase. "I'm here to deliver one message. The same message as before, but now you'll listen. Do not attack Earth. Do not attack our colonies. Do not send spies, saboteurs, or secret fleets. Because you were warned and you didn't listen and you saw what happened." She started walking toward the door. Then she stopped and turned back. "Oh, and one more thing," she said. "I know about the Krell's planned attack on Proxima Centauri. We've known for 3 weeks. We've evacuated every civilian from that colony. What's left there now is a surprise for anyone stupid enough to attack it." Krellix's face went pale under her red scales. "I'll be staying on this station for 3 days." Chen Wei continued. "Any species that wants to establish peaceful individual treaties with Earth can meet with me. Anyone who doesn't," she shrugged. "Well, you've been warned, again." She walked out. Her guards followed. The doors closed behind them with a final hiss. In the assembly hall, nobody spoke for a long time. Finally, Velkar looked at Krellix. "Cancel the attack," he said, "but we can't just cancel it." Velkar shouted. He never shouted. "Are you completely insane?" "They know, they've always known. Cancel it now or I'll have you arrested for starting a war the consul cannot win." Krellix sat down slowly. Her hands shook as she activated her communication device. Around the room, other species began doing the same thing. Everyone was making calls, emergency meetings, crisis management. In less than an hour, 5 species had requested meetings with Ambassador Chen Wei. The humans had been right. The galaxy should have listened the first time, but humans were also patient. They understood that some lessons had to be learned the hard way. The warning had been given twice now. There would not be a third time. War Mistress Krellix sat in her command ship, staring at the tactical display. Despite Velkar's orders, despite the fear in the consul chambers, she had made her decision. The Krell Dominion would not bow to primitive humans. They had ruled the galactic rim for 5,000 years. No upstart species would intimidate them. "All ships report ready," her tactical officer said. His voice was steady, confident. The Krell military had never lost a campaign. They wouldn't start now. "Begin the operation," Krellix ordered. "Take Proxima Centauri. Show the humans that the Krell do not fear them." 32 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. It was a massive force, enough to conquer most civilized worlds. Krellix smiled as her sensors swept the system. The colony planet appeared on the screens. Cities glowed on the night side. Orbital platforms floated in standard defense positions. Everything looked normal. The humans were probably sleeping peacefully, thinking they were safe. All ships advanced to attack formation, Krellix commanded. Target the orbital platforms first, then the planetary shields. The fleet moved forward. Krellix felt the familiar excitement of battle approaching. This would be quick, efficient. The humans would learn that. "War Mistress," her sensor officer shouted. "The platforms. They're not showing any life signs." "None of them." Krellix leaned forward. "What?" "I'm not detecting any biological signatures anywhere in the system. The cities are lit but empty. The platforms are powered but unmanned. War Mistress, there's nobody here. A cold feeling spread through Krellix's chest. Chenwei's words echoed in her memory. We've evacuated every civilian from that colony. It's a trap, she whispered. Then louder. All ships, emergency retreat. Get us out of... The orbital platforms moved. They moved fast, impossibly fast, reorienting toward the Krell fleet. Then they fired, but they didn't fire weapons. They fired themselves. 30 orbital platforms, each the size of a city block, accelerated on hidden thrusters. They crashed into the Krell fleet at incredible speeds. Kinetic energy weapons, simple but devastating. 4 Krell ships exploded instantly. 6 more were crippled, hulls breached, systems failing. Return fire. Krellix screamed. Destroy those platforms. Her ships fired their plasma cannons. They destroyed 3 platforms, but the others kept coming, dodging with computer precision. Another Krell ship exploded. Then another. War Mistress, we need to retreat now. No, we outnumber them. Keep fighting. Then the planet moved. That wasn't possible. Planets didn't move. But Krellix watched in horror as the colony world's entire surface split open. The cities, the lights, everything was fake. Underneath was a massive weapons array, hidden beneath holographic projections. Thousands of missiles launched from the planet's surface. Smart missiles, each one tracking a different target. The Krell fleet's point defense systems tried to shoot them down. They managed to stop maybe 1 in 10. The missiles hit. Krellix's ship shook violently. Hull breaches on 7 decks. Engineering was on fire. The ship next to her simply vanished in a ball of light. Emergency jump, Krellix ordered. Everyone jump now. Her navigation officer shook his head, his eyes wide with panic. We can't. Something's jamming our faster-than-light drives. We're trapped. Captain Maria Rodriguez watched the battle from her frigate at the outer edge of the system. Her small ship was invisible to Krell sensors, wrapped in the latest human stealth technology. She saw everything. They fell for it completely, her tactical officer said. He sounded almost sad. It wasn't even close, Maria nodded. She felt no joy in this. War was her job, not her pleasure. But if the job needed doing, humans did it well. Time to finish it, she said quietly. Activate the protocol. Her officer pressed a button. Deep in the heart of the Proxima Centauri star, a device that had been placed there 6 months ago activated. It sent a pulse of energy through the system. A specific frequency that targeted one thing, faster-than-light drive cores. In the Krell fleet, every ship's power core began to overload at the same time. Krellix saw her power readings spike. Her engineering chief shouted warnings. But there was nothing they could do. The core was going critical. Abandon ship, she screamed. Everyone to the escape pods. She ran for her personal pod. Behind her, officers and crew fled in panic. The ship groaned and shook. She reached the pod and threw herself inside. The door sealed. The pod launched just as her flagship exploded. Krellix's pod tumbled through space. Through the small window, she watched her entire fleet die. 32 ships reduced to debris in less than 15 minutes. Thousands of her soldiers dead, and all because of a trap she had been warned about. Her pod's communication system crackled to life. A human voice came through, speaking perfect Krell language. War Mistress Krellix, this is Captain Maria Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet has been destroyed. Your life pod's beacon is active. We will rescue you and your surviving crew. Do not attempt to resist or you will be left in space to die. Acknowledge. Krellix wanted to scream, to rage, to refuse. But she looked at the debris field around her and knew she had no choice. I acknowledge, she said, her voice broken. Good, the human captain said. We'll pick you up in 30 minutes. Use that time to think about what happens when you ignore warnings. The communication cut off. Krellix floated in darkness, watching pieces of her ships drift past. She had lost everything, and the worst part was knowing that the humans were being merciful. They could have let her die. They chose not to. That was somehow more terrifying than anything else. Across the galaxy, news of the Krell disaster spread quickly. Journalist Trill IP from the Harmonious Collective received footage from anonymous sources. The sources were human, though she didn't know that. They wanted the galaxy to see what happened. Trill IP watched the footage in her office. She watched the orbital platforms kamikaze into warships. She watched the fake planet reveal weapons. She watched the systematic destruction of an entire fleet. But what disturbed her most was what came after. The humans had sent ships to rescue every Krell survivor, not as prisoners for torture or execution, They gave them medical care, food, and comfortable quarters. They even allowed them to contact their families. Why? Trillip asked her assistant. Why save them? Her assistant, a young member of her species, shook his head. I've been studying human culture. I think I understand. They want prisoners they can return. They want the survivors to tell everyone what happened. Fear spreads better through witnesses than through legends. Trillip looked at more footage. Human military training exercises. She saw human children, some barely 10 years old, learning tactics and strategy in school. She saw humans practicing combat as recreation. She saw them watching violent entertainment and calling it fun. They're a predator species, she said quietly. True predators. Not like the Krell who pretend to be warriors. Humans are born for this, she published her story that evening. Within hours, every species in the galaxy had seen it. The images of the destroyed Krell fleet appeared on 1 billion screens. But more importantly, everyone saw the rescued prisoners. Healthy, unharmed, but broken in spirit. The message was clear. Humanity didn't need to be cruel. Their efficiency was terrifying enough. In her quarters on Kepler 7 station, Chen Wei read Trill IP's article on her tablet. She smiled slightly. The journalist was smart. She understood. There was a knock on her door. Come in, Chen Wei said. A small delegation entered. 5 species representatives looking nervous. The leader was from the Qual Consortium, the scientific species. Ambassador Chen Wei, he said formally. Our governments wish to establish formal peace treaties with Earth. Individual treaties, as you suggested. We want no part in any further conflict. Chen Wei stood and bowed slightly. I'm glad you came. Please sit. Let's discuss terms. As the alien sat down, Chen Wei thought about the Krell fleet burning in space. About Maria Rodriguez and her crew heading home after a successful mission. About the thousands of monitoring devices humans had planted throughout the galaxy over 2 centuries. The galaxy was learning. Finally. Some learned through wisdom. Others learned through pain. But everyone learned eventually. That was the human way. Patient, thorough, and absolutely unstoppable when pushed. Outside her window, stars shone in the darkness. Somewhere out there, the Krell Dominion was trying to understand what happened, trying to figure out how to respond. Chen Wei hoped they would choose peace. But she wasn't counting on it. Humans never counted on anything. They prepared for everything. 3 days after the Proxima Centauri disaster, Chen Wei stood before the Galactic Consul again. This time the room was completely full. Every species sent representatives. Nobody wanted to miss what the human ambassador would say next. Consul Primus Velkar looked like he had aged 10 years in 3 days. Ambassador Chen Wei, the consul recognizes you. You requested this session to discuss. What did you call it? Human nature, Chen Wei said simply. She walked to the center of the room carrying a small device. I think it's time you all understood what humanity really is. Where we come from. Why we are the way we are. She activated the device. A hologram of Earth appeared, spinning slowly above the floor. It looked beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds, this is our homeworld, Chen Wei said. Many of you have seen pictures. You think it looks pleasant, peaceful. Let me show you what it's really like. The image zoomed in to show Earth's surface. Numbers appeared beside it. Gravity, 1.3 times galactic standard, Chen Wei read. Most of you would struggle to walk on Earth, your bones would ache. Your hearts would strain. We grew up in this. We adapted to it. Human children play sports in gravity that would crush some of you. A Qual scientist raised his hand. But the Krell have similar gravity. That alone doesn't. I'm not finished, Chen Wei interrupted. Atmospheric oxygen, 21%. That's toxic to 40% of known species. You would need breathing equipment on Earth. We breathe it like nothing. Our cells use that oxygen to create incredible energy. She changed the image. Now it showed Earth's oceans. Water covers 70% of our planet. That water contains thousands of species that can kill a human in seconds. Venomous creatures, predators with teeth like knives, things that can swallow you whole. She smiled. Humans swim in that water for fun. We surf on waves that can break bones. We dive to depths that should kill us, holding our breath for minutes. The hologram shifted again. Forests appeared, jungles, deserts, mountains. Earth has climate zones where temperatures range from 50 degrees below zero to 50 degrees above, Chen Wei continued. We have storms with winds that can destroy buildings. We have earthquakes that split the ground. We have volcanoes that bury cities. We have diseases that killed millions of us throughout history. She paused and looked around the room, and we survived all of it. We thrived. Do you know why? Nobody answered. Because Earth is a death world, Chen Wei said quietly. By your standards, our planet shouldn't have produced sentient life. It should have killed us off 1,000,000 years ago. But it didn't. Instead, it made us strong. It made us adaptable. It made us into apex predators. The hologram changed to show ancient humans hunting. They were chasing a massive creature, something like an elephant but bigger. Our ancestors didn't have claws like the Krell, Chen Wei explained. We didn't have armor like the Vraxians. We didn't have poison like the Quoll. We had nothing but our brains and our endurance. So we learned to hunt creatures 10 times our size. We learned to chase them for days until they collapsed from exhaustion. We learned to work together, to plan, to trap. She looked at Krellix, who sat in the audience with her surviving officers. War Mistress, your species evolved as ambush predators. Quick strikes and overwhelming force. That works on your homeworld. But humans? We evolved as persistence hunters. We never stop. We never give up. We track our prey across continents if necessary. The hologram shifted to show human cities, then armies, then weapons. We turned that hunting instinct into warfare, Chen Wei said. Every human civilization independently invented organized combat. We fought each other for thousands of years. We got very, very good at it. We learned strategy, tactics, logistics. We learned how to win against impossible odds. She pressed another button. The hologram showed a human in a testing chamber. Scientists were conducting experiments. This is footage from a galactic research facility, Chen Wei said. They tested different species' physical capabilities. With permission, of course. The human in the hologram was exposed to different environments. Extreme heat, extreme cold, low oxygen, high pressure. Each time the scientists predicted the human would fail. Each time the human survived longer than expected. Human endurance exceeds galactic averages by 300%, Chen Wei stated. Our pain tolerance is off the charts. We can function with injuries that would incapacitate most species. We can survive without food for weeks, without water for days. We heal from wounds that would be fatal to others. A delegate from the Harmonious Collective stood up. This is propaganda. You're trying to make us fear you. No, Chen Wei said calmly. I'm trying to make you understand us. There's a difference. She changed the hologram again. This time it showed human recreational activities, sports, martial arts, extreme activities. Look at what humans do for entertainment, she said. We throw ourselves out of aircraft and fall through the sky. We climb mountains that can kill us. We race vehicles at deadly speeds. We fight each other in controlled combat and call it sport. We watch horror entertainment, stories designed to scare us, and we enjoy it. The alien stared at the images in disbelief. War isn't unusual for humans, Chen Wei continued. It's just another activity. A serious one, yes. A terrible one. But not foreign to our nature. When you attacked us, you didn't provoke us into doing something unnatural. You provoked us into doing what we've been training for since before we left our caves. She pulled up new footage. This showed a Krell prison facility. High security, supposedly escape-proof. 4 days ago, a human prisoner escaped from this facility, Chen Wei said. Sergeant James Morrison. He was captured during a reconnaissance mission 3 months ago. The footage showed Morrison in his cell. He looked ordinary. Average height for a human, about 6 feet tall. Muscular but not huge. He sat calmly, apparently resigned to captivity. Then the footage jumped ahead. Morrison was in a corridor. Dead guards lay around him. He held weapons he'd taken from them. His hands were bloody. His prison clothes were torn. But he moved with purpose, with calculation. Sergeant Morrison killed 47 guards during his escape, Chen Wei said flatly. He did it with improvised weapons, stolen equipment, and his bare hands. He hijacked a shuttle and flew it to a human-controlled system. The entire escape took 6 hours. Krellick stood up, her face dark with anger. That footage is classified. How did you— We have eyes everywhere, Chen Wei interrupted. Haven't you learned that yet? She looked at Morrison in the hologram. The interesting part is what Morrison said when he returned. He said the hardest part wasn't the escape. It was holding back enough not to kill everyone in the facility. He said he could have, but his orders were to minimize casualties. The room went silent. Chen Wei continued, her voice getting colder. You see, humans have rules about warfare. We follow codes. We have honor and discipline. But those things aren't weakness. They're leashes. And when you push us hard enough, when you give us no choice, we take off the leash. She turned off the hologram. I showed you all of this because you need to understand what you're dealing with. Humanity isn't like you. We didn't evolve on peaceful worlds. We didn't develop civilization in safety. We clawed our way up from the bottom of the food chain to the very top. We did it on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. She walked toward her seat, then stopped and turned back. The Vraxians attacked us thinking we were weak. The Krell attacked us thinking we were bluffing. You keep making the same mistake. You look at us and see just another species, but we're not. We're what happens when a death world makes a species smart enough to survive it. Chen Wei sat down. The room remained silent for a long time. Finally, Velkar spoke. What do you want from us, Ambassador? What will it take for humanity to be satisfied? Nothing, Chen Wei said. We don't want your territory. We don't want your resources. We don't even want an apology. We just want to be left alone. But if you won't leave us alone, if you keep testing us, keep pushing us, she shrugged. Then we'll keep teaching you the same lesson until you learn it. A small voice spoke up. It was Trilip, the journalist. But you rescued the Krell survivors. You treated them well. If you're such dangerous predators, why show mercy? Chen Wei looked at her. Because that's what separates us from animals. We can choose mercy. We can choose peace, but never mistake our choice for inability. We can be merciful because we're strong enough to afford it. We can be peaceful because we're dangerous enough that nobody forgets it. She stood up again. This session is over. I've said what I needed to say. The rest is up to all of you. Choose peace and we'll be your friends. Choose war. She let the sentence hang. As the delegates filed out, many of them looked at Chen Wei differently, not with the polite fear they'd shown before. With deep primal terror, they finally understood what they were dealing with. Humanity wasn't just another spacefaring species. They were survivors of a world that should have killed them. They were hunters who became hunted and then became the greatest hunters of all. The galaxy had been warned. Now the galaxy understood why. Commander Yuki Tanaka sat in a dark room deep inside Earth's Antarctic Strategic Command. Screens surrounded her, showing data streams from thousands of sources across the galaxy. She hadn't slept in 36 hours, but her eyes were bright with focus. Today was the day. All teams report ready, her deputy said. He was a young man named Carlos, brilliant with computer systems. We've confirmed access to every target. Yuki nodded slowly. And the ambassador? She gave the authorization code 10 minutes ago. We're cleared to proceed. Yuki took a deep breath. What they were about to do would change everything. The Galactic Consul thought humanity's military power was scary. They hadn't seen anything yet. Execute virus protocol, she said quietly. Carlos pressed a button. Around the room, technicians began typing rapidly. On Yuki's main screen, a map of the galaxy appeared. Little red dots began lighting up across it, hundreds, then thousands, then millions. Each dot was a human-made device that had been sleeping, waiting for this moment. For 200 years, human explorers, diplomats, and traders had visited alien worlds. They'd been friendly, curious, helpful, and every single one of them had left behind gifts. Tiny machines, small programs, microscopic devices embedded in purchased technology. The aliens had never noticed. They'd never suspected. Why would they? Humans seemed so harmless back then. Now those gifts activated. On the Krell homeworld, the military command network suddenly froze. Screens went black. Then they turned back on, but they weren't showing Krell data anymore. They were showing human messages in perfect Krell language. Hello, we've been here the whole time. On the Quol science stations, research databases opened themselves. Classified files began copying to unknown locations. The Quol scientists watched in horror as centuries of secret research simply vanished into human hands. On the Harmonious Collective's banking systems, every transaction record became visible to human eyes. Trade secrets, hidden accounts, illegal deals, all of it suddenly transparent. Across the galaxy, 47 species experienced the same thing simultaneously. Their networks were compromised. Their secrets were exposed. Their systems were no longer their own, and the worst part? The humans weren't destroying anything. They were just watching, taking, learning. Status report, Yuki commanded. All primary systems accessed, Carlos reported. Military networks, communication grids, financial systems, government databases. We have complete visibility into everything. What about resistance? Some species are trying to shut down their networks. A few are attempting counterattacks. None of it is working. Our code is too deeply embedded. They'd have to destroy their entire infrastructure to get rid of us. Yuki allowed herself a small smile. Perfect. Begin Phase 2. On Kepler 7 station, alarms started blaring. Velkar rushed to his office, his assistants running behind him. His computer screen showed an emergency message from his homeworld. What's happening? He demanded. His chief technology advisor appeared on the screen looking terrified. Consul Primus, our entire planetary network has been compromised. We're locked out of our own systems. And there's a message. It's being broadcast on every screen, every device, across all of our worlds. Show me, Velkar ordered. The screen changed. Chen Wei's face appeared. She looked calm, almost friendly, but her eyes were hard. Greetings to the Galactic Consul, her recorded message began. By now, all of your species have realized that your computer systems are no longer fully under your control. Don't panic. We haven't destroyed anything. We've simply claimed what we planted long ago. She paused, letting that sink in. For the past 200 years, humanity has been placing monitoring systems throughout your civilizations, in your networks, in your technology, even in systems you thought were isolated and secure. We did this because we learned early that the galaxy is dangerous. We learned that knowledge is the best defense. The message continued. Right now, human operators have access to your military communications, your government files, your financial records, your scientific research. Everything. We can see it all. Velkar felt his legs weaken. He sat down heavily. We're not doing this to hurt you, Chen Wei's message went on. We're doing this to show you that war with humanity is pointless. You can't fight us. Even if you destroyed every human ship, every human colony, you couldn't remove us from your systems. We're too deeply integrated. We're part of your infrastructure now. She leaned forward slightly. Here's what's going to happen next. We're going to release certain files to the public. Your public. Not everything. Just enough to show what your governments have been hiding. The screen split. Documents began appearing. Classified reports, secret communications, evidence of corruption, war crimes, illegal experiments, every species' darkest secrets laid bare. We gave you peace, Chen Wei's voice said over the scrolling documents. You chose war. Now you get neither. Now you get transparency. Now your people will see what their leaders really are. The message ended. The screens went back to normal function, but the damage was done. Within an hour, riots broke out on 17 worlds. Citizens who saw their government's secrets demanded answers. Politicians scrambled to control the situation. Military leaders found their orders questioned by their own soldiers. The Krell homeworld descended into chaos. Evidence of their military's unprovoked attacks on primitive species buried for centuries was now public knowledge. Krellix received a message from her government. She was being recalled to face trial for the Proxima Centauri disaster. The Harmonious Collective's reputation shattered. They'd claimed to be peaceful, but the released files showed secret military operations, covert wars, and hidden weapons development. Their entire civilization had been built on lies. The Qual Consortium faced economic collapse. The humans had frozen their access to the galactic banking system. Every trade, every transaction, all of it under human control now. Velkar stood in the consul chambers watching representatives scream at each other. Accusations flew. Alliances collapsed. Species that had worked together for centuries now turned on each other. Chen Wei entered the room. Guards tried to stop her, but she waved them off. She walked calmly to the center podium. Order, she shouted. Her voice cut through the chaos. The room fell silent. Listen to me, she said. All of you. What happened today wasn't an attack. It was a demonstration. We wanted you to understand that fighting humanity is impossible, not because we're stronger, because we're smarter, because we think further ahead, because we've been preparing for this since the day we met you. You've destroyed us, shouted a delegate from the Harmonious Collective. Our government is falling apart. Our people are rioting. We didn't destroy you, Chen Wei replied coldly. You destroyed yourselves with your secrets and lies. We just showed your people the truth. If your governments fall, it's because your people don't want them anymore. Krellix stood up. She looked broken, defeated. What do you want? Surrender? Tribute? What will it take for you to stop? Chen Wei looked at her for a long moment. I want you to understand something. Humanity doesn't want to rule you. We don't want your planets. We don't even want revenge. What we want is simple. She paused. We want the Galactic Consul to end. Gasps filled the room. The Consul is broken, Chen-Wei continued. It's corrupt. It's been used as a tool for the powerful to exploit the weak. It claims to promote peace but allows wars. It claims to support justice but hides crimes. We're not going to prop up this system anymore. You can't just dissolve the Consul, Velkar protested. It's held the galaxy together for 10,000 years. No, Chen-Wei said. It's held the galaxy hostage for 10,000 years. There's a difference. She pulled out a datapad. Here's what humanity proposes. The Consul ends today. In its place, we establish individual treaties between species who want peace. Any species that wants Earth's friendship can sign an agreement with us. We'll trade fairly. We'll share technology. We'll provide protection, but only if you agree to our terms. What terms? Asked the Quoll delegate. Transparency, democracy, basic rights for all citizens. No secret wars. No hidden oppression. No attacks on primitive species. Chen-Wei looked around the room. We're not asking you to become like us. We're asking you to stop being what you are. And if we refuse, Krellix asked, then you'll be alone, Chen-Wei said simply. No trade with human systems. No access to human technology. No protection from others. And we'll keep watching everything you do. Every secret. Every crime. Your people will always know the truth. She turned to leave, then stopped. Oh, and one more thing. Any species that tries to attack another in the next year will find their military systems completely shut down. We'll simply turn off your ships, your weapons, your communications. You'll be helpless. Consider that before you try anything. Chen-Wei walked out. Behind her, the console chamber erupted in noise again. But this time it was different. Species weren't arguing about war. They were arguing about survival. In her command center, Yuki watched the chaos unfold across dozens of screens. Carlo stood beside her. Think they'll learn? He asked. Yuki shrugged. Some will. Some won't. But they'll all know one thing now. What's that? That humans are patient. We plan ahead. We see the long game. And we always follow through on our warnings. By the end of the day, 12 species had requested meetings with Earth. By the end of the week, 31 had signed. 1 year had passed since the Galactic Consul fell. The galaxy looked very different now. Chen-Wei stood in the observation deck of Earth's newest space station, Unity 1. Through the transparent walls, she could see dozens of ships from different species. They came and went peacefully, trading and communicating. The Terran Compact, humanity's new alliance, had grown to include 38 species. Not all of them, but enough. Ambassador, a voice said behind her. She turned to see Admiral Hassan, the commander of the Unified Defense Fleet. The archive recording is ready. The historians want your testimony, Chen-Wei nodded. Of course. Let's go. They walked through the station's corridors. Aliens and humans passed each other naturally now. A Quoll scientist discussed mathematics with a human engineer. A reformed Krell officer practiced combat techniques with human Marines, things that would have been impossible a year ago. In the recording chamber, Chen-Wei sat before a camera. A holographic interface showed her the questions that would be asked. Ambassador Chen-Wei, the recorded voice began. You've been asked to provide historical context for the events of the past year. Please explain for future generations why humanity acted as it did. Chen-Wei looked directly at the camera. We didn't want this. That's the first thing people need to understand. Humanity never wanted to become the galaxy's police force. We never wanted to tear down the Consul. We never wanted war. She paused, gathering her thoughts. When we first discovered we weren't alone in the universe, we were excited. We dreamed of peace, cooperation, shared knowledge. We were naive. Within a year of making contact, we realized the galaxy was dangerous. Species attacked each other constantly. The strong dominated the weak. The Consul protected this system, claimed it was stability, so we prepared. We watched. We learned. We planted our monitoring systems and hoped we'd never need them. We gave warnings hoping they'd be heard, but nobody listened. Species kept testing us, kept pushing us, kept thinking we were weak. Chen-Wei's expression hardened. The Vraxians attacked. We responded. The Krell attacked. We responded. We gave chances. We gave warnings. We tried diplomacy, and when nothing else worked, we showed the galaxy the truth. Not through propaganda, through their own classified files. We let their people see what their governments really were. Was it the right choice? I don't know. Historians will debate that for centuries, but it was the necessary choice. The consul system was killing the galaxy slowly. Someone had to end it. The recording session continued for an hour. Chen Wei answered every question carefully, honestly. She wanted future generations to understand, to learn from this. When it finished, Admiral Hassan walked with her back to the observation deck. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked quietly. Chen Wei looked out at the stars. "Every day. But I'd do it again." Hassan nodded. He understood. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed. Chen Wei and Hassan ran to the command center. "Report," Hassan ordered. A lieutenant looked up from his console, his face pale. "Admiral, we're detecting multiple unidentified contacts at the Galactic Rim. Hundreds of them. No, thousands. They're not broadcasting any known identification codes." Chen Wei felt her blood turn cold. She'd hoped it wouldn't come to this. Hoped they'd have more time. "Show me," she demanded. The main screen displayed the galactic edge. Points of light appeared, so many they looked like a swarm. Ships. Massive ships larger than anything humanity or the consul species had ever built. "Are they attacking?" Hassan asked. "Not yet," the lieutenant reported. "They're just sitting there, at the edge of known space, waiting." Chen Wei pulled out her communicator. "This is Ambassador Chen Wei, Emergency Protocol Omega. Contact all Terran Compact members immediately. And..." She hesitated, then continued. "Contact the Krell Dominion. Contact everyone. Even the species who didn't join us." Hassan looked at her in surprise. "The holdouts? They refused our protection. They've been hostile to us all year." "I know," Chen Wei said, "but this isn't about us anymore." Within hours, representatives from every species in the galaxy gathered via holographic conference. Even species that hated humanity. Even species that had refused all contact for a year. They came because they'd all seen the ships. Chen Wei stood before them. This time she didn't look confident or intimidating. She looked tired and very, very serious. "I need to tell you something," she began. "Something humanity has kept secret. There's a reason we pushed so hard. A reason we forced change. A reason we needed you all to be stronger." She pulled up data on the main screen. Images from deep space probes. Intercepted transmissions in unknown languages. Mathematical analyses of long-range sensor data. 5 years ago, human deep space probes detected something at the galactic rim. Ships. Technology far beyond ours or yours. We tracked them, studied them, and we realized they were watching us. All of us. The entire galaxy. The assembled species stared in shock. "We called them the Shroud," Chen Wei continued. "We don't know what they are, where they come from, what they want. But we know they're powerful, and we know they're coming." Krellix spoke up from her holographic position. She looked different now. Humbler. The past year had changed her. "You knew about this?" "For 5 years? Yes," Chen Wei admitted. "We knew. And we realized the galaxy wasn't ready. We were too divided, too weak. The consul kept everyone comfortable but vulnerable. If the Shroud attacked while we were like that, we'd all die. So you forced us to change," Velkar said slowly. He served as an advisor to the new compact now. "The warnings, the demonstrations, the dissolution of the consul. All of it was to prepare us for this?" "Yes," Chen Wei said. "We needed you stronger, united. We needed to break the old system before it got you killed. We needed species who could fight, adapt, innovate. Not species who relied on ancient bureaucracy and false peace." A Quell delegate stood up. "You manipulated us. You terrified us. Thousands died in the conflicts you provoked." "I know," Chen Wei said quietly. "And I'll carry that guilt until I die. But if we'd told you the truth, would you have believed us? Would you have changed? Or would the consul have dismissed it, buried it, kept things comfortable until the Shroud arrived?" Silence answered her. "Now the Shroud is here," Chen Wei continued, "and we have a choice. We can face them divided, weak, pointing weapons at each other, or we can face them together." She looked at Krellix. "War Mistress, the Krell are the finest warriors in the galaxy. Your people know combat like no one else. Will you fight beside us?" Krellix stood slowly. Pride and shame warred on her face. Finally, she bowed her head. "A year ago, I would have refused. A year ago, I thought the Krell needed no one. But you taught me humility, Ambassador. You taught me that even the strongest can be stronger together. She raised her head. The Krell Dominion will join the Terran Compact. We will fight beside humanity. Other species began speaking up. The Quoll, the Harmonious Collective, even small species that had been afraid to commit before, one by one they agreed. By the end of the day, every species in the galaxy had joined the Compact. Not because they loved humanity, because they understood the alternative. Admiral Hassan began organizing the combined fleet. Human tactical doctrine integrated with Krell warrior traditions. Quoll scientific innovation combined with human engineering. The Harmonious Collective's coordination abilities merged with human strategic planning. The galaxy became what it should have been all along. United, prepared, strong. Chen. We stood in the war room as the final preparations were made. Krellix approached her. I owe you an apology, the War Mistress said. I called you monsters. I thought you were cruel, but you were saving us. We did terrible things, Chenwei replied. Don't excuse that, but yes. We did them for a reason, Krellix nodded. The Krell have a saying, the greatest warrior isn't the one who never loses. It's the one who learns from defeat. You defeated us. And we learned. Then let's hope we all survive to keep learning, Chenwei said. The Shroud Fleet began moving, thousands of ships advancing into the galaxy. But this time, they weren't facing a divided collection of species. They were facing something new. Something united. The first battle was brutal. The Shroud ships were powerful. Their technology advanced. But the combined fleet adapted. Human tactics with Krell aggression. Quoll calculations with harmonious coordination. Species that had fought each other for millennia now fought as one. The battle lasted 3 days. When it ended, the Shroud Fleet retreated, not destroyed but bloodied, shocked that the galaxy had united. On Unity Station, Chenwei watched the reports come in. Victory. Costly, but real. Hassan stood beside her. They'll be back. I know, Chenwei said. But now we'll be ready. Really ready. All of us together. She thought about the past year. The warnings. The conflicts. The fear and anger. It had all led to this moment. A galaxy that could defend itself. Do you think it was worth it? Hassan asked. Everything we did? Chenwei looked out at the fleet. Ships from dozens of species flying in formation, working together, protecting each other. Ask me again in 100 years, she said. If we're still here, still together, then yes. It was worth it. The Shroud would return. Everyone knew that. But the galaxy was different now, stronger,